I had my doubts, but this season actually came through and delivered a nice finale, and I can't really complain that much. I'll discuss more of that at the end of the video, hopefully. So, everyone gets back from Tribal after John was voted out, and, Jacqueline is rightfully pissed that that everyone has lied to her about betraying her loved one and such, and everyone expects her to be on the bottom and not do that much, especially since, like I said, a lot of the John and Jacqueline thing really only works if they're both there. But still, though, at the same time, I can't help but think that Jacqueline is somewhat overreacting because, well, it was just too much to hope, in my mind, that John and Jacqueline will be able to stay as the power couple and get rid of everybody for 11 straight tribals. Well, 10 since Julie quit and had John, stayed in the game to the top 3. It just was too much to hope for. And I think he did have some warning signs, yeah, so... okay. So then it turns out that the extra day on this show is actually just providing an advantage for the Final 5 immunity. And unlike Final 4 immunity advantages, I don't think people should complain that much about this, because when it comes to the Final 5 in this game, there's still a lot up in the air, because the idols can still be played, and there's multiple ways that the voting can go depending on who wins immunity, If someone has an advantage in the Final 4, and when it comes to the Final 4, generally there's only 2 ways the votes will go, and then after someone wins immunity, there's still really just 2, although one of them may not be the same as it was before, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, Final 5, I don't think people should be complaining. So Keith winning, that didn't bother me, and I actually honestly thought it made it more interesting to see him or Jacqueline win that thing, yeah. And yeah, that was one heck of an advantage he got, even though I honestly felt like it ultimately could not matter, because I'm looking at the advantage and picturing what the actual challenge would be like, and I'm going, yeah, I mean, this will definitely help you, man, but for all I know, you could actually still suck at this the next day, or somebody could just have a natural talent for it, although I later learned that you can't really have a natural talent for that, it just requires practice. And Keith obviously did that, because he said, yeah, I'm going to continue until after dark, and presumably he did, and he smoked everybody, but... yeah, I wonder what would have happened had he not won that advantage. How long would they have been there? That would have been hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. So him winning the Final 5 immunity, I was a bit disappointed, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? It's the Final 5 immunity. We still got another immunity after this, and, it's happened multiple times in the past that somebody who's the most in danger of being voted out wins the first immunity but loses the second immunity. That happens all the time. Okay? Yeah. So then going to camp, it does appear that Jacqueline is next to go, although I think she does pitch to Natalie and or Keith that they should try and get rid of the Missy and Baylor couple. And surprisingly, it seems like Keith is just perfectly willing to go along with Missy and Baylor. I mean, sure, obviously those 3 girls threw him a lifeline at the previous tribal, but yeah, it just goes to show, Keith, he doesn't really seem to have that much of a game plan in mind except for just win and then come up with a few basic arguments. Yeah. And I fully expected Jacqueline to go, even though I felt like that wouldn't be a good situation for Natalie. But then at Tribal, she decides to flip the script and then play her idol for Jacqueline, and then Baylor goes. And that was a nice move by her, because it did get rid of the potential problem of Keith winning the next immunity and Natalie obviously being ostracized by Missy and Baylor. And also, if you get rid of Baylor, that just leaves Missy unable to compete in the final immunity challenge, which is either a tough endurance challenge or a very big multi-stage challenge, which usually is a multi-stage challenge now. So yeah, I think that was a good move. Baylor going, well, you know, it's just more of a threat to win immunity, and as I stated, Missy's injury removes her credibility. Yeah. That final 4 immunity, well, I wanted to see Natalie or Jacqueline win because I didn't want to see Keith get that immunity and have a great shot at winning the game. And then, even though Jacqueline really hurts herself, she ends up coming out on top. Not bad. Now, hypothetical. What would have happened had Natalie not given Jacqueline the idol and it would have been her and Baylor versus Keith? Well, Keith and Natalie would still have gotten as far in the challenge as they did, okay? So, Natalie would have beaten Keith. The big question is, would Baylor have beaten Natalie? My honest reaction to that is that she wouldn't. So, then it probably would have played out exactly the same way, except Baylor was obviously in the final 3 instead of Jacqueline. That's my honest thoughts, though. You can easily disagree with me. Okay. Everyone goes back, and then surprisingly, it turns into exactly what most of us would have thought Natalie would have prevented. She's in talk of going instead of Keith, but Jacqueline recognizes that Keith is a big threat with the guys, and then ultimately it doesn't seem like Missy wants to betray her relationship with Natalie, even though Natalie did vote out her kid, and I'm a little bit impressed that she was able to just brush it off so easily, but I still can't help but think it's really just because of her injury, you know, because I really do want to know what her reaction would have been had she not been injured, because I think had she not been injured, she definitely would have been up against Natalie a lot more, because, yeah, no credibility, and the injury earned her a bye to the final 3. Okay. So, Tribal, I really did begin to feel nervous for Natalie, but the moment I saw that it was 1 vote Keith and 1 vote from Missy, I go, Keith's gone, nothing to worry about. Yeah, and Keith, why the heck did you write down Missy? And you're like, oh yeah, we need to get rid of Missy, she will get various votes. Are you freaking serious? Yeah, ridiculous, man. Okay. So I was real happy to see him go, because yeah, had he made it, it's revealed that he would have gotten a good amount of votes, and had Natalie not been there pretty much any incarnation with the others, he would have won, and that would have just sucked. He would have been my new candidate for least deserving winner out of all of them, because yeah, Fabio was fought about a lot more, and people did have to try and sway his vote. And I mean, like, Fabio won the same amount of immunities as Keith, but Fabio actually needed to win those advantages. Keith, he didn't need most of them, actually, and he got a couple of freebies. Fabio, he didn't necessarily get a freebie. I mean, like, there's the argument that everyone could have turned against him and just simply chose not to, but just, yeah, Fabio's better than Keith, definitely. He's not the worst winner either, he's just the least deserving winner, okay? There's a big difference between that. To be worst winner, you have to be a bad jury choice, not likable, and not deserving. Well, maybe not all 3 of those, maybe just those last 2. Okay. So when it came down to the final 3, like, that was the shortest Day 39 and final Tribal Council I think that we've ever seen, even though they did have to cram in an extra challenge, you know. And like that final Tribal, just talk about not getting me interested, for crying out loud. I mean, like, I don't really remember that much from the Tribal, honestly, other than a Reed speech and maybe just people saying random things to people. Just, I mean, like, I had a pretty bad phone conversation before I saw the finale, so that did impact my emotional viewing, you know, but just, yeah, that was not interesting at all. I felt that I would need the knowledge of these jury speeches to figure out who was going to win. I got nothing except I don't like Missy. Yeah, now I know that a lot of people are going to be quick on the bandwagon to say, well, these guys haven't been playing the game. Yeah, I'm with you. There wasn't too much big game move. It was just more of who could sort of outsmart each other with the numbers and such. Now, I honestly don't feel like that's a bad thing. It's just that, well, the pre-merge bit of this wasn't that great. There were quite a few people who thought this season wouldn't be good. I was one of them, sort of. I expected it to be a big drop. Although it is kind of unfair to compare this to Caramoan, because Caramoan was pretty unique. And honestly, in hindsight, I'm thinking that we should have binge-watched this season, because I think had we binge-watched it, it would just feel a lot more average, to tell you the truth. Okay. So, as they're looking at the votes, I will admit I did feel nervous for Natalie again because they showed Reed casting his vote for Jacqueline, which I didn't feel like it made much sense. Now, obviously, he stated that he wasn't going to vote for Missy, but I'm like, why would they show your vote for Jacqueline when the other three people, you know, they were the most obvious people on the jury, but showing your vote for Jacqueline, just what up? But then I saw that all the remaining jury members had voted for Natalie because, yeah, once Natalie pulled ahead of Jacqueline, I was fairly certain that she had it, and I didn't really need an official explanation. I could tell that Reed just cast his vote for Jacqueline so that she would get more votes than Missy. It's that simple. Because you do get paid more money for being first runner-up rather than second runner-up, although if you are tied for the same votes of the jury, they just combine the earnings and then have them. And yeah, it really would not have been good for Missy and Jacqueline to be tied as runner-ups. One of them played a different game than the other. It should be separate, unlike Philippines, Caramoan, and Fiji, where the runner-ups played basically the same game. Well, I mean, like, that's not entirely fair for Caramoan. I'll freely admit that, but yeah, it really should have. Jacqueline did deserve that over Missy, and plus, she actually, you know, has a goal for that money, you know, save up money to give herself a better house, and then eventually get a child, since she can't give birth. Yeah, nice goal there. But in the end, Natalie wins, and it's kind of ironic. Her twin gets voted on in the first episode, and Natalie ends up winning the game, and for those of you not paying attention, she never got a vote cast against her the whole game. Yeah, shocking. Huh? And like a lot of people are going to say that she didn't totally play that great of a game, and I wouldn't call it an overall amazing game, but here's the thing though, she was directly responsible for putting half of the jury on the jury, okay, because she was responsible for Wes going. Now, I know that she might have not been the one to suggest a split vote, okay, I think that was Reed, but she told John to play the idol. So that puts Wes there, she's responsible for John going there, she's responsible for Baylor going there, and you can argue that she's responsible for either Josh or Keith, and Natalie was responsible for getting rid of Drew in the pre-merge, so yeah, she's done her part. She fully deserved that win out of those last few people. Okay. And that reunion show, I just felt like that was a pretty boring reunion. This is, I think, the one bit where Jeff actually did a bad thing for this season. Because, like, for those of you who have watched my previous Survivor videos, you know I've been kind of hard on Jeff the past few seasons. Well, I didn't have a problem with him here, and the reunion, I don't totally have any huge problems with the format, but it's more of what he did versus what he didn't do, and that kind of drops it down a little bit. But it's not really too much to complain about, and that idea for season 30, I gotta admit, when I first heard the blue collar versus white collar, I'm like, okay, that's an idea, yeah, but then they throw in no collar, making it 3 tribes, and all the doubt in my mind was washed away. So because it's 3 tribes, the mix-ups that they're going to do are going to be hopefully pretty interesting. So, yeah, nothing to comment on. Thinking it'll be a nice season. And as to Again, overall thoughts on this season. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It definitely is a step down in quality, but it's nowhere near as bad as what Nicaragua and Philippines did with my faith in this show. I still have faith in this show. As to where I rank this season, that's tough. Right now I'm having a battle with it in terms of do I rank it above or below Caramoan? Because, well, I just gotta decide. Do I want the pre-game segment to drop the season down, or do I want to say that I was a lot more satisfied with the eventual result of the finale, even though, well, I don't know. I'll post in the comments or description at some point where I rank it, okay? But it's either above or below Caramoan, okay? Meaning that it's either the 5th or 6th, okay? I think that's right, yeah, Cagayan won World, South Pacific, Lovers 101, Caramoan, how can I forget the... Oh, yeah. Alright, Nicaragua, Philippines. Okay, yeah. So it's either 5th or 6th, okay? See ya.